Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This will be my first video. I focus on macro analysis and explaining why certain stocks or sectors move the way they do. I'll be posting roughly once a month because building a proper thesis takes time and I'm not a day trader. So today we're looking at rare earths, specifically MP materials, and why it spiked a few months ago. So as you can see, 72 to 100. It shows 99 here, but I remember it being 100 at its peak. So we need a bit of context, first of all. So rare earths are strategic materials that are used in tech, defense, and industry. They're politically and economically important, right? MP materials is like the Bitcoin of Earth, I like to call it, because it's like a bellwether for the sector in the US. So it's like a Bitcoin. If this goes up, then the rest of the sector for rare earths goes up as well. If it goes down, the other goes down. It's like Bitcoin. If it goes up, crypto goes up. Yeah, whatever. So on October 9th, the US imposed a 100% tariff, on consumer goods, and China responded with a ban on rare earths exports to the US. This created a major supply disruption, which is why the sector became very volatile in US. So the US was very dependent on China for these. Roughly 80% of their hold for rare earths came from China, so they had to get it back somehow. So this wasn't random, the spike in MP materials. It came from two main catalysts. Government funding, which is the Pentagon, it invested 400 million in MP materials, which they said it was strategically securing supply, which, to be honest, it's not like that. I'll explain in a bit. It was inside the trading. Corporate funding, large corporates like J.P. Morgan and others also invested heavily around the same time. When government and corporate capital align, that's very strong signal for upward movement. The timing mattered too, so I analyzed news flow over a 20-day span to avoid insider volatility, spreading the data 10 days forward and 10 days back to when I heard the news about government funding. So I spent it 10 days, let's say it was 18th of September. I spent it 28 days to 28th of September and 10 days back to see, exactly if there was any movement that indicated insider trading, and it was not. They were expecting a bigger return, which you can see here, of course. So once the news hit, I saw an initial spike. We all did, right here. So after that, followed by further upside as others also recognized the trend. MP materials drove the sector, meaning other rare earth stocks also moved. So the lessons or takeaways from this is that the thesis rested on macro level understanding, not just guessing or following hype. And some key points for traders like myself is to look at government and corporate funding as leading indicators. That's how I built my thesis. Understand geopolitical catalysts like tariffs, bans, and strategic resource needs. When a country needs a resource, that's valuable. They need to get it. So they're gonna get it somehow. You need to benefit off that. That's how I build this. So also timing matters a lot. Like you can have a perfect thesis, but if you have no idea when the spike is gonna happen, you're just gonna hold money for no reason. So For me, there's three boxes that I always check when I'm gonna invest in stuff like this. For geopolitical events, you need government funding, which is confirmation basically, corporate funding, which is the main lead, right? Government funding is like it barely moves the price up, but corporates, that's what actually moves the price up. And when corporates do that, then volume comes from, people like me, and it goes up even higher. So when these two and policies like tariffs, bans, or something like that get involved, then it creates a very strong upside or downside. And that's totally up to you if you can figure out if it's a downside or an upside. So also one more thing before we end this off. The reason, if you might be asking if it went down, why it went down because the US finally got a deal with Australia. Australia got enough to support the US, and then it went down because also everyone sold. So those two, and it went down a lot. So that's it for today's breakdown of MP materials and this Earth spike. I'll continue sharing macro thesis monthly, showing how I analyze and interpret movements in real time. If you also want more explained trades, sector insight, and macro analysis, then consider helping me out by like or subscribe. So, one more thing before I actually end it off for real this time. The one that benefited the most, I had three stocks which I benefited the most. I'm gonna talk about, personal experience. It was Trilogy Metals and Lithium Americas. These were the three, and MP Materials. So this was probably insider trading before, but you can see the spike here. It was cheap, so I got the most from here. It was high risk though because wasn't enough information to go based off. But because it was in the same sector, I decided, what, people are probably gonna put money on this one too, right? Because the sector makes sense to put money in. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for your time.